Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Talk with Ben podcast. And I'm so happy you decided to join me, whether you're chilling at home, whether you're sitting outside reading a newspaper, or just sitting outside enjoying the nice weather, or whether you're just hanging out with friends. I'm so glad you decided to join me. And I hope this is an uplifting time and encouraging time. And if you're new, my name is Ben, and this is my podcast where I talk about, well, real things. That's why I call it Real Talk, because I want to be honest with you all. I want to be uplifting to you all. I want God's word to be the center of what I do. And whether that's here on the mission field or whether that's on your screens while you're watching right now or listening in your earbuds. So once again, I'm so happy you decided to join me. Hopefully you'll stick around for a few more episodes after this. So thank you so much. And you might be wondering, if you're a returner or you've been watching, or you've been listening, you might be like, Ben, there's a different sound. There's a slight echo and the room looks different. And you're right. I switched rooms today. I'm recording this on Wednesday. So switched rooms today. So that was a really long process. I sort of am trying to figure still things out. I'm sort of figuring things out. I have a basic layout of where I want to have everything. The whole desk situation, which is behind me, I'm still trying to figure that out. It might look different the next time because like my computer's behind me. And so when I record a podcast, all my audio goes to my computer, and I like to keep an eye on the computer to make sure, it doesn't shut off. So I'm kind of going by chance today. So if I bump a mic like that, you'll know why, because I just want to make sure that my everything's going well. So that will probably be shifted around so I can actually see the computer next episode. But I was kind of on short time today, so I thought I would throw an episode together anyways. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening. Hopefully on like Saturday. No, not Saturday. I'm going on Saturday. Possibly on Saturday or Sunday, depending on when I have free time. I'm going to be doing a room tour video on my YouTube page. So YouTube channel page. No one says page, Ben. YouTube channel. So go ahead, check that out. It's going to be really cool whenever it does come out. It's not really anything flashy, but you know how I like to do room tours. So, yeah. And I guess too, I wanted to really, thank a lot of you, that reached out to me, and shared their concerns with maybe some things I said, or even just thanking me for saying something, on Tuesday's episode. And, yeah, it's definitely been a weird time for me. I mean, yes, because of everything that's going on, but I think also because I'm overseas and I don't really get to see it firsthand. And so, but I want to know I'm with you all. I stand with any racism. I stand against any racism. That would have been bad. Stand against any racism. And I would just want to reiterate that God calls us to love and not hate. And I think that is just something that has stuck in my mind, is that that's what God calls us to do. And that's what we should do as Christians. And so, yeah, I just wanted my voice to be out there. I just wanted to share, I use this platform to be honest with you all. And I wanted to be honest in almost more of a real way than I already do. So thank you so much for, listening to that episode. Definitely was a different episode than I'm used to. I'm used to being more vibrant. So that was definitely a different thing, but it needed to be done and needed to be said. But moving on to today's episode, I decided to talk about, because of, if you watch some of my videos on my YouTube channel, especially on Friday's recap, or if you've read my newsletter, things are about to ramp up. We are having camp this summer here at Word Life Hungry, which is super exciting. And I thought I would take today to just maybe share a little bit of why I believe summer camp is so, I guess it's so important, but especially for me, and how it's impacted my life. And I've never been a camper here, but it's still impacted my life. So if you didn't watch on Friday recap, or you didn't read my newsletter, I'll kind of give a brief summarization of kind of what's going on. So as of last week or the week before, we announced that we were going to have camps. And with that comes a lot of different things and a lot of different people doing different jobs. And so basically, to make a long story short, I am going to be the sports coordinator, which basically entails that I will be basically in a long sense. I'm basically overseeing all the different sport practices we have. So we usually have 2 sports a week, sometimes 3, but this year we're having 2 sports a week. So I'd make sure all the coaches were there. We have enough translators, we have enough, make sure the balls are out where they need to be, and all that fun stuff you would see as maybe like an athletic director if you're thinking of something. So that's what is happening. Summer camps are great. We're planning to have about 100 kids a week, 7 weeks of camp, plus 5 satellite camps. You're talking on campus, 700-800 kids we're going to be able to reach. And then, who knows how many off campus. So super excited. And I'm going to take you guys along the journey. So if you guys, that I will actually say that now, since I'm already on the topic of summer camps, podcasts will be weird. I don't know how I'm going to record them. Still trying to figure that whole thing out, but I still have like a month until camps come around. So, super excited for that. And, so basically I wanted to share with you why I think it's, just important, I guess, why I think camp and like I said, I'll be doing video stuff. I'll keep you guys up to date. I'll try to bring you along the ride, especially on YouTube. So, stay tuned for that. But why do I think it's so important? And my first camp that I came to was with my dad. Actually, my dad came before me. If you know my story, you know that. My dad came about, this will be his year. If he does come this year, it'd be year 9 for him. If I came just this summer, it'd still be year 7. So about 7 years ago, I came for the first time, which saying that is kind of crazy. But yeah, so 7 years ago, I came for the first time. And I was still in high school. I was still, figuring out life. And, that's my testimony pretty much. So I was figuring out life for a long time and just wanted to see what God was doing. My dad kind of said, he said, "Hey, you want to come along?" And I came, and that's when everything really started to take shot. I take shot. I don't know if that's right phrase, but that's when everything just really started to kick it into high gear. That's when God really started to work in my life through camps. And so a lot of you know that I love it here. I love this place. It's been a great place for me, over the past, 6 summers, but then being here for, now 3+ months, it's definitely been a very encouraging time, and again, reassured everything I'm about to share with you in this episode. And so, yeah, so why do I think summer camps are important? I think that's the more important question before I, talk about the impact on me. Summer camps are important because I think just like in the States, it's a time when, you're out of school, especially when you're a young kid and you don't really have those people to, be around. You don't have, maybe you do, but maybe they're not good influences, or, maybe they're going through something that past year, or, for some kids, it's the only church they get, all year round. And so why do I think summer camps are important? Because I think summer camps allow a young person to learn more about Christ or to discover Christ. And, that's what's so amazing about living for the Lord, is that there's things like these that help you grow and help you develop into a more focused person on Him. I've actually said quite often that I wish I would have been able to go to summer camps. I never actually got to go to summer camps. Not that I didn't want to. I think I just decided not to growing up, and parents never said I had to. So sometimes I wish I did. And I think that's a big thing, is I think it's something that I think I'm going to challenge my kids to do when I have children one day. And so, yeah, I think that's a big thing. I'm sorry, I'm yawning again. Ugh. I'm sorry, Grandma, if you're watching. I'm doing this at night. It was a busy day today. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting, I guess camps are an interesting thing, I should say, because camps are that unique time when you get to maybe get away from a rough life, or maybe get, get a chance to be with those friends that you made last year, but you haven't seen, or whatever the case is. So I think camps bring the opportunity to grow in your faith or maybe discover your faith. But most importantly, I think deepen your relationships with other Christians. And I think that's such a big key. And so, yeah, so that is my, I think the importance of it. And so I kind of want to talk about, the impact it had on my life and the impact that this camp specifically has had an impact on my life. As many of you know, not just summer camps here at We're Life Hungry, but I've also helped out with basketball camps at Cedarville University, which is a type of summer camp. And every time, man, it truly is remarkable of what God can do, what God does in the counselors or the volunteers, almost more than sometimes he does with the campers. And so that's kind of like where my story begins. 6 years ago, I came for the first time, almost 7 years ago now, and still a very lost Christian. But I remember multiple times, seeing young people on fire for Christ and, younger than me. And I kept asking those questions like, why are they so on fire? And yet I feel like I don't really care that much. Well, in reality, I didn't care that much at that point. But I would also watch my dad and see my dad serve. And I got to see firsthand what a servant's heart is. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that, you all know my dad's my hero, one of my heroes, and his servant's heart is something that I pray that I have one day. I feel like I'm getting there, but I'm not nearly where my dad is. And very grateful to be able to come on this trip. And because of him, I'm here. I don't become a missionary if it wasn't for my dad kind of encouraging me to come. And so anyways, talking with these people and, talking with, different, missionaries and different students and different campers and counselors, you talk to all these different people and they all say the same thing, and they also have the same fire. And that's just that we love God. We want to share God with everyone else. And it's really cool to just see, the impact that it has on me and others. But one of I think the turning point for me, and I think that's where my faith started turning, and where my faith, I think, really started to kind of take shape, and kind of, I guess, really, I started realizing I needed to focus on my faith more was when, so every Tuesday night, I believe we have our, we share the gospel, and students will come forward. And, I remember the first year I was here, quite a bit of students came forward. I don't remember the exact number, but I saw people that I was coaching, because I do sports when I come here, and I saw students that I had conversations with and campers I had conversations with, and yet I still saw them say, I want to know Christ more. I want to serve him, or I want to accept him into my life. And so I think that's something that's definitely had an impact. And it's never just the first time I came here. It's every time I've been here since. Every time I see that night, I'm crying, because it was the first reminder and the first, I think, conviction of my heart that I need to focus on Christ. I need to recommit my life to Christ. And obviously it didn't change probably after the first couple of years, but I think once the third year came around, I really was focusing more on Christ. And obviously the more and more I came back, throughout the years, I had gotten closer with Christ and kind of dedicated, my life to him. And, but there was one specific thing that I remember from, I think it was year 3 or 4 that I was coming here. They did a sin sketch, and basically the sketch, if you don't know it, basically there's a chair that represents sin, and then there's a guy who happens to be one of my best friends, Mishi, that was playing him, and kind of attaches onto it, and basically it progresses he gets more stuck and he can't let go until God comes and, removes that sin from him and forgives him. And I remember the first time I saw that sketch, the first time I saw that, I saw that, I remember breaking down because I remember thinking, God, this is me. I am so stuck in all these sinful desires and these sin ways, and my life is just so sinful. I want to release from that. And that that was the moment when, I think I always tell people that was the moment when everything really started shifting in my brain. It was already shifting, but year 3, year 4, when I would see this sketch, it would shift for me. And it would, help me realize that I needed to be, closer to Christ. And those were the moments I started getting closer with him. And so I share that because I think that goes back to the importance of camp. Camp for some kids is, they'll never, maybe they've been a Christian for a few years. And so this is just a fun way to hang out with Christians. Maybe it's some of the campers that have never heard the gospel. And so hearing the gospel preached is probably the only time they've ever heard it. And so that's awesome for them. Or then you have people like me who are saved, but have just been walking down the wrong path, and to see something like that. And, for me, it wasn't even in English, it was in Hungarian, but yet I understood, actually, there was no words to it other than the few signs. So it was something that was so simple, and yet it grabbed my heart and it convicted me. And so I guess I would just say that that's been the importance of camp for me, is how every time I come, whatever that year has been, obviously I come 2 weeks out of the year, and every year, I come back, and I get to almost hit the restart button, the refresh button. And so that sounds weird, but I guess for me, it was just the time when I could say, like, I could watch everyone and I could see people on fire. And it was like, God was just nudging me like, hey, I'm here. I've got you. And so that's been the importance for me of camp, is just feeling like, when I come here, I can make a difference. But I think more or less is like, I know every time I come here that God is going to change me. I can even say that now. I've been here, almost 3.5 months, and yet I still feel like God is changing me. And convicting me of things, changing my paths. There we go. I can barely say that word. Excuse me. But yeah, so I think in the basically making a long kind of drag on story short, the importance of camp is not necessarily how many kids do I get to, share the gospel with, which is important. And it's not necessarily how many things I can do right or how many things that I can help the camp grow, which they're all important. And ultimately, we want to share the gospel as many kids as we can. But the importance of camp for me is hitting the refocus button or the reset button, not completely resetting, but hitting that reset of like, okay. And I kind of get the analogy of this. So, for me, I'm going to use a photography or videography analogy. When you're shooting so many videos, sometimes you get used to just shooting the same thing. And sometimes the focus doesn't always focus right. And you get out of focus and you start making adjustments, but they don't always seem to fit. So finally you have to go back to your original setting, and you have to go back to what you knew and what you know is best. And that for me is what camp brought to me and still brings to me, is the ability to go back and hit that reset button and going like, okay, I need to stop worrying about this world and focus on Christ. And so, yeah, I think that's why I think this place means so much to me, and it has such a peaceful feeling in my heart. Is this place has turned me from a very immature man to a young man who really wants to just share the gospel with everyone and who wants to live out the gospel, so that future generations may know about him and may understand who God is. And so I think for me, it's simple math. It's camp not only affects the youth of Hungary, but camp can affect the volunteers, the missionaries, and the staff of Word Life Hungary. And for me this summer to kind of take a step above what I normally do and to be able to help coordinate and run all the sports and be able to encourage coaches, encourage players, encourage campers, and encourage them to see sports in a different light, to see God in a different light. So that maybe that one kid that was like me, who was so struggling and so unsure of his life, can go, I get it. I just have a God who cares about me, who loves me the way I am, and wants to do everything he can to pull me back and say, I love you. I want you here. And so summer camps here at Word Life Hungary are still, I mean, every time I think of Word Life Hungary, I think of summer camps because I met 5 of my best friends here. I've known Daniel, Mishi, Adam, and Tanner. I've definitely known Tanner and Mishi for 6 years and Daniel and Adam for about 5 years. And, these guys are a big part of my life. And because of summer camp and because of their drive and their fire to serve Christ and to share the gospel has been a big impact on my life. And so when I think of summer camps, I think of the relationships I've made. I think of the friendships that I've made, the relationships with the kids that I've made. But more importantly, I've realized the importance that camp has affected my walk with Christ. Every time I come here, there's something that challenges me, or there's something that is so convicting that I go, okay, Christ, okay, God, I know I need you in my life. And so I think you might be sitting there and you might be listening and saying, Ben, how does this impact me? What's the point? Like, you kind of seem kind of scatterbrained. And it's not that I was scatterbrained. I just trying to share what was the importance and the impact that it's had on my life and also on the lives of the campers. But to go back and answer that question of why is this important to me? Why do I need to care? You need to care because there are camps all around you. And unfortunately, through the pandemic, there are camps that are dying because of this. But there are still camps that are going to run. There are still camps in the future. There's still Bible school events at your church. There's still children's church. There's still youth groups. There's so many things that are like camps that you could be a part of. And I can tell you that if I don't come to Hungary 6-7 years ago, and I honestly believe this, if I don't come to Hungary, I don't know where my faith would be. I don't know where I would be. And so I challenge you to look at your life and say, how can I not only help impact young people, but how can I challenge myself and to dive deeper into what God calls us to do, and God calls us to be there for this world and to share the gospel and to love this world for who they are. And I think even in the times of the crazy times we're going right now, especially in the US, there's no better time than right now to live out some of those things and challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone, share the gospel with somebody, or just, in fact, love somebody. But if you have the opportunity to participate in any type of summer camp or any type of summer activity through your church or whatever, do it. It was some of the best decisions I've ever made has been coming here. And I could spend another whole episode on this, but I know I wanted to just talk about the importance of camp and what it's meant to me. And so, yeah, I love this place. I love serving here. It's been a blessing, and it's going to continue to be a blessing. Can't wait to see what the Lord has in store this summer. Please be praying. Pray for these young people. Pray for the staff that we can do the right thing and share the right thing, but ultimately be there for these kids and also not getting sick with everything going on. So once again, thank you so much for listening. I do want to give one little last announcement or two last announcements. One last announcement is if you watch it on YouTube and tomorrow is Friday, if you're watching past this weekend, then I'm sorry, this doesn't apply, but Friday's recap might be a little sooner than normal just because it is my birthday. Yeah, it is. Tomorrow when you're listening, when you're listening to this, it'll be tomorrow. And so I'll be kind of busy most of the day. So it'll become a little earlier. And then second thing is pay attention just for the different videos that are going to be coming out. I'm working on a couple different projects. So hopefully those will be coming out shortly and we'll see how those go. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this podcast, go ahead and click the, if I can speak, Ben, if you've enjoyed this podcast on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and favorite it. Keep it there. So that way you have a place to go when you see a new episode pops up. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and then click that notification bell. And that way you're always in touch and you get to kind of see what's happening every week when I come out with new episodes. So why don't you go do that? It's really important. Well, it's up to you. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And I want to remind you of this, that God is faithful and you can trust him. And as always, we'll talk next time.